I'm here with South Australian Harness Racing Chairman of Stewards, Steve Mulcay. Steve, you're leaving us to go back to New Zealand. You are an expat Kiwi. How long have you been Chairman of Stewards here?
Been 5 years here with Harness Racing SA, Torrey.
And where were you before that?
I was with Harness Racing Victoria for 5 years as a senior steward, and prior to that I had 18 years with Harness Racing New Zealand.
Now, we've said before that you're a New Zealander. You're going home to a job over there?
Yeah, that's correct, Torrey. We're heading back at the end of May. I've taken up a position, or to take up a position, with the Racing Integrity Unit.
Can you explain that to us? Because that doesn't exist in Australia, does it?
No, it doesn't. The Racing Integrity Unit, it covers the 3 codes, covers all integrity matters. It's a separate organisation, and it's jointly owned by the 3 codes, along with the Racing Industry Board.
Very interesting that, because there's no state governments as such over there. So is it a federal government thing?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Look, I promise I wouldn't throw any curveballs for your last interview, but that would be a long way off here in Australia, wouldn't it, that sort of thing?
I would imagine so, from what I've seen in my time here.
It's a shame, because if with all 3 codes getting together, am I fair to say there's more cooperation?
Yes, most certainly, because you've got the same integrity officers or stipendiary stewards officiating across the codes, and they're separate from the controlling bodies that actually make the rules which govern the sport, and they're also separate to the judiciary, given that there's a separate statutory body, the Judicial Control Authority. Okay,
so if someone wants to appeal, do they appeal to a higher body?
Yes, they do. They appeal back to the appeals tribunal that's set up under the JCA.
Sounds very interesting. Back to your career. That's a long career in harness racing. You must have seen some good horses over the years, Steve.
Yeah, most certainly have. I've been very fortunate in my time to see some exceptional horses that have come through. One of the best performances, or best performed horses, would obviously be Lyle Creek, in my opinion. What he was able to do, to be able to go over and compete against the best in Europe and Scandinavia, then to go to the States and be as competitive as he was there, and then to come back to New Zealand and win the Rowe Cup. That was extraordinary.
Mate, that's really the big stage, isn't it? And to at least compete with him is just huge.
It is, most certainly.
Any other names spring to mind?
Christian Cullen, he was a favourite. He had such presence about him. He was a magnificent looking horse, and at his best he was certainly world class. He
was a stallion and knew it too. My word,
yeah.
And his progeny are going along brilliantly too, aren't they?
Well, they are. They're they're industry leaders, and very, very well credentialed, very well performed.
Now come on, you've spat out a couple of Kiwi horses. What about some Aussie horses?
Well, Black's a fake, I suppose. It'd have to be right up there. What he's been able to achieve has, been unparalleled. He's an exceptional horse, and always enjoyed watching him race.
Well, when you say, he's put together 4 Inter-Dominions on the trot, and Paleface, Adius and Pure Steel and those horses couldn't win one. It's not a bad effort.
It's a great effort, and we may never see it equalled.
Well, I don't think so either, Steve. You know more about it than I do, but gee, it'd be hard to be equalled. Steve, when do you go?
Well, I finish up here mid-May, and then we go about a week later. We fly back, and I'm actually going to be based in Auckland, Waikato area. That's where the position is. We intend living in Hamilton. We've arranged rental accommodation there initially, and I commence my duties on the 10th of June. So. Well,
that's not far away, and look, I've worked with you for the past couple of years, and it's been a pleasure working with you, and you'll be sadly missed.
Oh, well, thank you for your kind words, Tori, and I've enjoyed my time here and enjoyed working with you.
Well, you're a professional, and you deserve what you're getting, and I guess to go home is just a bonus as well. The family think that way too?
Yeah, most certainly. There's just my wife and myself, but we've got extended families over home. And we've been over here in Australia, as I said earlier, for 10 years. When I accepted the position with Harness Racing Victoria, I'd always sort of set myself a maximum period, if you like, of 10 years. That was what was in the back of my mind. I've been fortunate to achieve the goal that I set myself to become a chairman of stewards, and I've enjoyed the challenges that position has presented.
Well, it's a juggling position, isn't it? You've got to be the judge and jury over here, as well as keep faith and in good with the trade.
Yeah, most certainly, and that's a key difference between stewarding under the judicial system in place over here, where you're prosecutor, judge and jury. Back in New Zealand, with there being the JCA, the separate judicial tribunal, if you like, or authority that's set up, the role of a steward on race day is primarily as an investigator and a prosecutor. So basically it's like going immediately to our appeal system on race day. Now, you can make an argument for and against that. It's obviously quite time consuming, and there is cost involved, but it does work well, and especially when you look at it from the natural justice, human rights perspective. So that's what's in place, and that's what I'll be going back to again.
Now, the Waikato is a thoroughbred area. Is it a harness area down there at Hamilton as well?
Yes, around that area there are a lot of horses trained there. It's strong, and given its close proximity to Auckland, those pool of horses, they race at the various venues, in particular Alexandra Park and Cambridge.
Steve, thanks very much for your time. Thanks for your companionship as a workmate. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and hopefully when I come over there I can knock on the front door.
Yeah, you'll always be welcome, Dory. Good on you.
Thank you, Steve. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Steve Mulcay, former Chairman of the South Australian Harness Racing Stewards.